very good afternoon. You're watching The Big Story with me, Afrida Rahman Ali. We are taking you through the journey of superstar Rajinikanth to tell you more about the big decision that Rajinikanth has taken today and made an announcement today, with him finally breaking all suspense and putting all speculations to rest. Rajinikanth announces that he will fight the Tamil Nadu elections early next year, and he also took to Twitter to promise an honest, transparent and corruption-free government. He further said that the government will be above caste, creed and religion. He will be launching his political party in January, and the exact announcement of the date will be made on the 31st of December. So that's the big update coming from the state of Tamil Nadu. Let's listen in to superstar Rajinikanth on this.
தமிழ்நாட்டு தலையத்தை மாற்ற வேண்டிய நாள் வந்தாச்சு. அது நிச்சயமாக அது நடக்கும். அரசியல் மாற்றம், ஆட்சி மாற்றம் இப்போ இல்லைன்னா எப்பவும் இல்லை. மாற்றுவோம், எல்லாத்தையும் மாற்றுவோம்.
My colleague Jawahar joining me right now to take us through this big update that we are tracking today on Rajinikanth's political debut, and also to take us through his journey so far. There's been a lot of speculation around when he will launch the party, what will be its shape and form. Jawahar, over to you to take us through Rajinikanth's journey up to this point of taking a big political plunge.
Yes, Afrida, like you rightly said, the people of Tamil Nadu, especially his fan base, which runs into hundreds and thousands of fan clubs, lakhs of members all over the state, all over the country, and even in different parts of the world. So Rajinikanth has been talking about his entry in politics for quite some time. In 1996, when he had a tussle, or maybe when he was not on good terms with Jayalalitha, he had actually made the very famous statement, in support of DMK at that time. The statement that he made was, only God, even God cannot save Tamil Nadu if Jayalalitha is elected back to power. And that actually turned the wave, the whole thing, it turned into big favor. The votes were transcendent. The kind of difference that the one statement made in favor of DMK was seen, and then DMK came to power. Then after that, he had been having lots of problems with both the parties. Then he was, he spoke against the PMK, the Patali Matkal Kachi, the Ramdas and other members of the party, because he had some differences with them. So that was more of a political statement. Then in 2011, like we saw, he openly supported AIA DMK at that time. That time he was on good terms with Jayalalitha, and he was not doing very well with Kalainar or Karnadi, as we call him here. So that was a difference when he was not able to actually support DMK, and then at the time he had favored AIA DMK, which led to the mass victory of the party there. And after that, what we have seen is he has been on and off. He had been trying to make a lot of commitments, lot of statements about entering politics. In 2017, December 31st, the same day, like he had announced today, he had announced his entry into politics and said that he will be looking for spiritual politics. And then after that, he said that he is actually looking for a wave, he is looking for a change. Only when he feels that there is going to be a change, like a situation when people actually want a change, only then he will be entering politics. So on and off, he has been making many political statements, which has not gone down very well with most of his fan base, because there are people who are actually waiting for him to enter politics. Then on the other hand, when Kamal Hassan launched his entry into Tamil Nadu politics and launched his own party, so the time people were expecting Rajinikanth to come up with a party and enter the politics, so that there was an even better alternative to the people of Tamil Nadu. Like we are seeing it for the last almost 4 decades, the state has been ruled by the major Dravidian parties, AIA, DMK and DMK. So on and off, his talk about his promises, his statements about entering politics has not gone down well with the people of Tamil Nadu, especially his fan base. He had been having a lot of meetings with his fan clubs, with his fan members. So they were actually waiting for Rajinikanth to make that move, to make that decision about entering politics. So today when he tweeted, and after that when he addressed the media talking about his entry into politics, he said that on December 31st this year, he will be talking about his party, structure of the party, and what exactly are his plans for, and he will be launching the party, his political party, in January. So what people are expecting is, generally in Tamil Nadu, people wait for Pongal, that is on January 14th. Makar Sankranti, that's known in the north. So people from Tamil Nadu wait for an auspicious time, and January 14th is supposed to be one of the best days, when a new venture is announced. and Rajinikanth known to be a very spiritual kind of a person. So people are expecting that he'll be making an announcement on January 14. So people are actually waiting to see what Rajinikanth is going to come up with in the coming days, in the coming weeks, and what his party structure is going to be like. Afrida, back to you.
Okay, Jawahar, important and interesting information. And like you said, we first heard about this brand of spiritual politics way back in December 27, and this is December 2020. And we're hearing that term again coming straight from Rajinikanth, talking about how this will be a new brand of politics. Let me introduce my guest this afternoon, Mr. Sumant Raman, political analyst, and also Arun Ram, resident editor of the Times of India, Chennai, joining us here on Mirna. Thanks very much to the two of you for giving us your time. Like my colleague Jawahar said just now, we have heard on and off announcements of this nature, but this is for the first time that a political party is being spoken of. And before I go to my guests, I just want to quote exactly what Rajinikanth has said on Twitter. He says, let's change everything. It is now or never. In the upcoming assembly elections, we will definitely win the assembly elections and give an honest, transparent, corruption-free and spiritual politics without any difference to any religion or caste. Sumansi Raman, I want to ask you, how will this change the political dynamics in Tamil Nadu? We've already seen the two major sides, the DMK and the Congress on one side, and the AIA, DMK and BJP on the other. The Makkal Nidhi Mayam has not, from what we can see, made any major breakthrough. Will Rajinikanth be any different?
Is that question to me or is it to Mr. Arun?
Yes, Mr. Raman, Sumant Raman, please.
Yeah. Okay. Look, this is going to have a very significant impact on the ground in the political landscape of Tamil Nadu, especially because we are only 4.5, 5 months away from the elections. And, I don't believe at this point of time that Mr. Rajinikanth would be planning to contest all 234 seats and stretching himself too thin, both in terms of resources and in terms of candidates and so on. So I would expect some kind of an alliance that he would form. And logically, that seems to be with the BJP, AIADMK combined. Whether that will happen, we'll probably get an inkling of it on the 31st of December. But my gut feel is that I don't expect him to contest all the seats because it's going to be extremely difficult to set up the organization base which is required and the resources that are required to fight an election campaign in all over the state. Even the big parties would struggle to do that. But I think that he would contest a select number of seats, have an alliance, and possibly the BJP. In fact, his coordinator, Twitter handle till very recently, earlier today, actually said intellectual cell convener of the state unit of the BJP, Mr. Arjun Murthy. So, it does seem clear that he is some kind of a proxy for the BJP in some form.
Okay, that's interesting. Mr. Arun Ram, do you agree? Because we know, of course, that he had very glowing statements to make about the Prime Minister and Amit Shah as well, not too long back. And the perception is that, he's more allied or aligned rather to the BJP ideology. He's talking about spiritual politics. And you're based in Chennai. You're closer to the, all this happening right now. So you can probably tell us, what does this mean? My colleague Jawahar was telling us he's choosing a very auspicious time of the January 14th is when he believes the party will actually be launched.
See, when it comes to Rajinikanth, physical proximity doesn't matter. So your guess is as good as mine. But coming back to what Sumant has said, I really won't hazard a guess on what kind of an alliance Rajini might be considering at this point in time. But I wouldn't discard the chances of his doing it. But I really don't know what he's up to because he himself has not been very clear about what he was up to. If at all, but I would say that as a political observer, if not an analyst, I would say that the best best option for Rajinikanth, however strenuous it would be to contest all the 234 seats. Whether he would get the right candidates for all these constituencies, whether he would be able to campaign, all these are big question marks at the moment. But I think for what he has professed so far so this suspense has been building up for 24 years. And 3 days ago, he almost asked for 24 more hours. The decision he took slightly longer, maybe more than 48, 60 hours, and he has come up with an answer that he is indeed going to take the plunge. But but I think Rajini's best chance would be to live up to his own promise of being the alternative. When you're challenging a government, you're saying that I will change everything. I'll change the government. I'll change the
Okay.
policies. I'll change the political discourse. You have to be an alternative. That there is no middle path to being an alternative. That has to be an alternative which should be against the AIADMK and any existing party. Point number one. Point number two is that when he speaks about spiritual politics, BJP
Yes.
has been gloating that Rajinikanth turns out to be a natural ally because he is also a spiritual person. I don't think that makes him a better ally. What makes him a better ally would be a sense of symbiosis when it comes to resources. I don't think Rajini has the resources to fight an election. An election needs about 1 lakh people at the booth level, which the AIADMK and the DMK have because of by virtue of being a cadre-based party for decades altogether, 50, 60 decades. I mean, 50, 60 years. So that is something which Rajinikanth may not be
Okay.
able to match in terms of the political might, the electoral might of his rivals.
Entirely with Arun that going alone would be the ideal approach because he would have lived up to his commitment of attempting to change the system and his commitment that he gave 3 years ago that he would contest all the 234 seats. So now that is the ideal option. Now the point is, how practical is that? What kind of a vote share
Okay.
could he actually command? And I'm going a little by what Mr. Gurumurthy said earlier today in an interview to another channel, where he clearly said, I don't know what Mr. Rajinikanth will decide, that's his call, but I would like him to bring together all spiritually minded forces. Now, if you had any doubt about what it was, Mr. Gurumurthy then clarified. He said, we don't see the AIADMK as a party against spirituality, whereas we see the DMK as a party against spirituality. So he made that further very clear. So as far as the BJP is concerned, as far as Mr. Gurumurthy is concerned,
Okay.
and they are seen to be quite close to Mr. Rajinikanth because Mr. Gurumurthy had a meeting with Mr. Rajinikanth and subsequently met Mr. Amit Shah when he came to Chennai recently. So if his speech is any indication or his interview today is any indication, the other parties, there is going to be an attempt to get him into the alliance. Now, whether that would succeed, we'll have to wait and see. But yes, the question of resources and spreading himself too thin. Look, in 4.5 months, if he can set up an entire organizational base in terms of booth level workers, as Arun said, setting up 1 lakh people. Mind you, you need a lot of money to spend on the elections. And I'm sure that Mr. Rajinikanth does not, despite being the superstar that he is, would not like to expend that level of resources
Right.
from his own pocket. So who is going to fund him? So those are serious issues. I mean, it's good to be
Yes.
idealistic, but I honestly can't see him have the bandwidth, as it were, to contest across the state successfully.
Okay, so one issue is that of the resources. The other is whether he wants to be seen with one side or the other in terms of ideology. So those two issues we've discussed. I want to ask you, Mr. Arun Ram, in terms of his being compared with Kamal Hassan and the way his journey has gone so far. These are two very big Tamil superstars, and it's not that we haven't seen film movie stars becoming netas. But then this is, again, let's face it, a very different game altogether, and superstardom doesn't necessarily translate into votes.
You can say that I have these many million fans at the grassroots level. Every village has a Rajini Makkal Mandram flag flying probably, but that person on the street who is your fan is different from a cadre of a DIA, or a DMK, because the difference between a person, a fan, and a cadre of a party is that a cadre is politically more aware, politically even a bit educated on the policies and protocols of the party. So Rajinikanth has not even spelled out his policies or his
Okay.
politics. All he has said is it will be spiritual politics, which remains in the vague realm of the unknown. To proclaim, to profess, to spell out his policy, and then to educate his cadres who can work at the booth level is going to be the biggest challenge Rajinikanth is going to face. So it is not. You could theorize that somebody has Rajinikanth
Arunram,
has so many
what are the
millions.
chances that he might come together with Kamal Hassan?
Rajini's fan base is much wider. Rajini has a much wider acceptance among different kinds of people, people of different walks of life. I think Rajini can learn a lesson or two from Kamal's failure also in this term. So it will be a great challenge. One is converting the fan base into a well-oiled political machinery. That will be the biggest challenge. So when, say, for example, say Kamal gets 5% votes and if Rajini gets 15% votes,
Yes.
if the two come together, it is not 5 plus 15, 20%. It might well be 60%. I'm sure that Rajini and Kamal are aware of this great possibility which can defy basic arithmetics and go beyond. There could be a chemistry, there could be a much bigger thing which can happen. The possibility will not be ruled out. But I think that realization would come from some sense of defeat rather than a sense of an opportunity. Because at the outset, we might think that Rajini is a right wing person, Kamal Hassan is a left of center person, but I don't think those leftisms and rightisms are going to stand in the way of these people, because political expediency and a common goal, which at least as per how they have professed, it's an alternative. It is both of them are offering corruption free, clean governance, a transparent government, which are the common goals. So it doesn't matter you take the left route or the right route. If you go to a temple, or if you are an atheist or an agnostic, doesn't matter.
Yes.
I think when there are common goals, I think they can always travel by a common
So is
path.
he going to offer something entirely different? That question remains. I want to give one last word quickly to Mr. Sumant Raman. Why we are looking at the Kamal Hassan trajectory is also because if you look at it, his party contested 36 seats in 2019, won not a single seat. It had a vote share of 4%. So the issue about stardom translating into votes, like we heard Mr. Arun Ram also saying that it's not easy to set up that kind of an well-oiled election machinery on ground in a very short span of time, and the election is probably 4 to 5 months away.
Yeah, it is very difficult. But look, as Arun said, I agree again that both Mr. Kamal Hassan and Mr. Rajinikanth are saying pretty much the same thing in terms of their overall objective, which is to change the system. And to usher in a new kind of governance system with transparency and less of corruption and all that. So to that extent, there is nothing which prevents them from coming together and putting a common minimum program by which they could operate and go to the people. That remains a possibility. But Kamal Hassan's base today is limited to about 3 or 4 large towns. I mean, he does not have a presence in at the village level. And therefore, it's very difficult to sort of compare the vote basis of the two, because Mr. Rajinikanth has a presence almost everywhere in the state. Now, very importantly, I would say that at this point of time, all options are open. And in Mr. Rajinikanth's best interest from a political perspective would be not to tie up with the AIADMK or the DMK. But having said that, who's going to fund him? And who's going to fund Mr. Kamal Hassan for that matter? So these are parties which are, look, Tamil Nadu, the big two parties have no qualms buying votes. Voters are routinely paid money. That is the big charge. Not the election commission himself has accepted that they are struggling with this problem.
Right. And there are other parallel developments also. Yes, happening at the same time. There is a breakaway faction of the DMK. There's turbulence within the allies of the AIADMK and the BJP. So there are a lot of tectonic changes happening. And now, of course, with Rajinikanth making this announcement, it'll be interesting to see how things develop as we approach the state elections. Thank you so much, Sumant Raman and Arun Ram, for joining us in this discussion today. Let's in fact also listen in to my colleague Shilpa, who's spoken to some of the fans of Rajinikanth right after the announcement was made. Let's listen in.
Rajinikanth's announcement has created a lot of ripples in Tamil Nadu politics, and for that reason you can see fans really thronging outside the Poise Garden residence of Rajinikanth. You can see how crowded this entire place is at this point in time. All of them really want to catch a glimpse of Rajinikanth. This has been the announcement that several of them have been waiting for as well. We saw posters coming up in several parts of Tamil Nadu saying it's now or never, and and that's precisely it seems like Rajinikanth has also heard that plea, that request from his fans that it's now or never, and he has of course taken that political plunge. In fact, I'm just going to speak to some of them here. Sir, நீங்க ரஜினி ரசிகரா?
Of course, yes.
இந்த அனௌன்ஸ்மென்ட் பத்தி என்ன நினைக்கிறீங்க நீங்க?
ஒரு விடியல் வந்திருக்கு. So it is going to happen. So you confirm the date. So it is going to be a good starting for Chennai.
Do you think Rajinikanth will become the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu?
Of course, yes. When there is a God willing, it will happen.
நீங்க என்ன நினைக்கிறீங்க?
வந்தா நல்லது பண்ணா நல்லது, அதுதான் நான் நினைக்கிறேன். மக்களுக்கு வந்து ஒரு உபயோகமா இருக்கணும், புரட்சி நடக்கணும்.
So they all believe that Rajinikanth's entry into politics will be revolutionary. They feel that he will be able to fill that leadership vacuum in Tamil Nadu after the demise of tall leaders like Jayalalitha and Karnanidhi. He is the person who can lead Tamil Nadu, and he is going to bring in massive changes.
Well, let's take a short break here. News and updates continue in just a bit. Stay with us.